Hey everybody, this is the Drink64 and welcome to my review for Rick and Morty Season 3 Episode 4. This is for Vindicators 3, The Return of Worldender. So, Rick and Morty does soar. You know, I never thought I'd actually be able to say those words. I mean, even though this show parodies a lot of different movies, Saw is one I actually wouldn't have expected. Especially since we just so happen to be getting a new Saw film soon. It's pretty coincidental that we get an episode parodying that, which is pretty cool. Overall, I do find this to be a pretty fun episode overall, at least I certainly enjoy it, so yeah. So in this episode we actually get introduced to these characters called the Vindicators, who apparently Rick and Morty have actually met before, we haven't. Yeah, kinda weird. A group of superheroes probably intended to resemble the Guardians of the Galaxy, so this is sort of a mishmash of Saw and Guardians of the Galaxy. It's kinda weird. We also get some nice moments with Rick and Morty in this episode, honestly, however, those just turn out to be lies as proven later on in the episode. I'll get to that anyway. So first let's just go over the members of the Vindicators, because they're pretty cool, at least the ones that I find interesting. So you have this guy called Million Ants, who's pretty much exactly what you think he is, a cluster of a million ants. Nothing special, but he's pretty cool. You then have Alan Rails, I believe is his name. He's freaking awesome, and at least that's what I got from the episode, who can conjure up ghost trains, which, in my opinion, is actually a pretty cool power, contrary to what Rick says. I don't care. I like that power, and honestly, I like it myself. It's pretty damn cool. Then you have Crocubot, who is a part crocodile, part robot. He doesn't really do much in this episode. It's kind of a shame. There are others. There's the leader dude, and there's Supernova, I believe is her name. They're alright, but they're not as interesting looking as these characters, so yeah. The episode overall, again, just feels part Guardians of the Galaxy and part Saw, which is kind of a weird mix anyway, and something I'm weirdly okay with. So the start of the episode, to me anyway, is also pretty weird, as they just seem to leave these slug creatures in the garage with the idea that they can just sterilize the Earth. Good job, Rick. I mean, well, they just doomed the planet, but I guess. So Rick and Morty actually end up being mad at each other while talking with the other Vindicators about the mission, which causes a rift between them throughout the episode. That's sort of the main basis of this episode, and it's pretty cool, which sets up for a gag later on, which I'll get to because I kind of like it. And Rick ends up coming back drunk the next day with his pants down and no idea what happened or where he went. He also had pretty nasty diarrhea. I mean, seriously, nasty diarrhea. You also have this character called Noob Noob, who is awfully similar to Mr. Poopy Butthole in design and voice, which is kind of interesting. I know that it's Justin Roiland and it's the same voice, I get that. But the design just really stands out to me as something very similar to that character. I don't know if there's any relation, or maybe this could be this dimension's version of the character, I have no idea, but it just feels too similar to really just not be pointed out, I have to say. So they end up getting to the planet of the enemy, Worldender, who's their main villain, I guess. Rick wakes up and disarms some turrets, and you can definitely tell at this point that there's a rift between Rick and Morty, more so than usual, and that's been one of the main things of this show, is just seeing the relationship between these two main characters and just how they argue, how they interact. That's always just been one of the main reasons that I'd watch this show. So yeah. So they end up finding out that the bad guy they were hunting, Worldender, was killed by something much more dangerous. What was this bigger threat? Rick. It's always Rick. We find out that while he was drunk the night before, he decided to show the Vindicators up by killing Worldender, and then killing them by placing them in Saw-like traps, which even Rick acknowledges is just like Saw. So instead of actually listening to Rick, the leader of the Vindicators is actually the one to get triggered by this and attempts to fly off before eaten by something we don't see. I actually think that's kind of creepy that we don't actually see what actually kills him. I mean, it's obvious that Rick put it there because he's the one that set all this up to make sure they don't escape. So what it is, I have no idea. So they're placed into this not so elaborate Saw trap while Rick and the rest of them are bickering. Morty actually ends up solving the puzzle because he knows drunk Rick so well. Again, just more of their relationship starting to come to fruition, you know. So they get put into another game by Rick, as per Saw, and I don't know, even though this is Rick doing this, I don't really think they have the right to blame Rick fully on this one, since it's not as if he did it knowingly and he was drunk. That's just how I see it, but, you know, it's not 100% his fault, it's about 90% his fault. So unfortunately the Crocubot dies trying to find the location, and once again, Morty solves the puzzle since he knows drunk Rick better than anyone else here, even Rick himself probably. The answer to the puzzle even ends up being Israel, which sort of leads into sort of a joke with Millie and Ants not wanting to talk about it like it's some kind of racial debate. It's pretty funny actually. So the next game from Rick is a basketball game where they have to score 5 3-pointers or the planet will be blown apart by a neutrino bomb, which was also the type of bomb Rick was going to use in the opening part of the first ever episode, so I think that's a pretty cool throwback to that episode if you guys remember that. Weirdly, I was actually watching that episode a bit ago before this one, so kinda lucky that I was knowing that. Anyway, this quickly turns into an argument between the remaining members of the Vindicators about how one was cheating on the other even though that one wasn't even with the other one. Yeah, it's a bit weird. Well, Rick and Morty talk it out, and as it turns out, Rick is jealous, and that's what sort of caused the rift. This argument actually really starts to ramp up and even results in the death of a Ghost Train guy, or Alan Rails, which was a bit surprising even for me. I didn't expect him to die. I didn't really expect any of them to die. Well, I expected some of them to die, but not like this, so it's a bit surprising. So they actually put Rick and Morty in cuffs this time, and the next task is to give something that Rick wants that they have. And here's where the gag comes in. Now, I thought the same as Rick at this point with this puzzle, that it was Morty, which I think makes sense. However, you find out that he was actually talking about Noob Noob, which was just such a left turn that it actually got a laugh out of me. I wasn't expecting it, and it was really funny, not gonna lie. It was a good gag. And the episode was sort of building up to that as well, which is something that I really like jokes like that sort of have a big build up and then sort of all accumulate into this one gag. That's something I really appreciate, and that's something I really like, and I think Rick and Morty does that quite well, so yeah. Although in the end, Morty didn't really have too much of a reaction to it, only shoving Rick aside after. It's kind of a shame. So they're about to leave when Supernova tries to kill Rick and Morty, obviously, because she hates them for some reason. Honestly, some of her other dialogue with them in the past makes it seem as if she didn't completely hate them, and that it was Alan Rails who hated them. I have no idea. Maybe she just blames Rick for all of this, which makes complete sense anyway. Billy and Ants tries to stop her, but she betrays him and kills him. Again, this is actually really expected from me, and I loved it. However, before she can kill them, it turns out that Rick had organized this huge party outside with Gearhead attending, and even Beth and Summer attending. How the hell did they even get here? They're on an entirely different planet. Maybe Rick uses his portal gun, I have no idea. And as we saw earlier in the episode, he clearly didn't leave his portal gun at home or anything like that. He left it on the ship. Yeah, I have no idea how Beth and Summer even got here, honestly. It's also good to see Gearhead again, as long as we don't have to hear about the Gear Wars, please. I mean, it's just good to see old characters back. I'd like to see Bird Person back, but unfortunately I know we have Phoenix Person, but so far as I can see, he's evil now, so God, I miss Bird Person. I have to say though, the singer at this last bit of the episode is so annoying. The singing, not so much. The singing is something I can forgive. It's not great, but I can forgive it. But he fucking dabs. I hoped we would never see a dab on this show. Maybe we have in the past and I've just never noticed or never bothered to notice, but what did I really expect from Rick and Morty? Overall, anyway, that's the episode. I mean, the after credit scene for this one is just Gearhead pretending to be a Vindicator since he got the jacket from Morty to pick up girls. It's nothing really special, although I do have to say, after seeing that scene, I do want to see more of Gear Town. I think it is an interesting place. I suspect we could totally go there in an episode, and I don't see why we wouldn't. We've seen it in this after credit scene. I'd like to go there, because I don't know what else we'd see there, but it looks interesting. But anyway, with that, I really liked this episode. It was probably the weakest episode this season, not going to lie, at least in my opinion, but still not bad in any way, shape or form. So yeah, with that, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.